when at the end of a romantic relationship, at the end of a friendship with one who was one of my best friends at the time. And I realized it's the same exact dynamic. And I realized I was living with the victim mindset before he'd even passed, but I didn't realize that was my identity. And then when he passed away so suddenly, of course, I felt even more like a victim since I hadn't actually resolved that. And so I surrounded myself with people who would also give me reasons to feel like a victim. And so I realized, wait, how could I be learning all of this stuff? It was just like not passing my brainstem. You can read about
Right.
self love and all these things as much as you want, but if you're not actually looking at your life and seeing, well, if I love myself, how is this my best friend? How do I accept this behavior? How was I dating this person? And that's when everything started changing really quickly in my life. And I started doing more advanced forms of meditation. But really, that self love foundation was just like, of all the things I tried, if I had figured that out in the beginning, it would have been a different result. And all of those modalities would have been a lot more effective, actually.
Right. Got it. Wow. It's such an incredible journey, Shanoa. And I have a huge respect for people who've gone through grief, especially in their younger years. Nothing can prepare you for what's coming. Like no one's trained you on how to behave or what to do. And especially if someone that close to you passes away, then it's your whole world turns upside down. And you came out of it. So I want to know, Shanoa, you mentioned a lot of factors. You moved places, you surrounded yourself with different people, you tried different things. But what was the most important thing that made sure that you kept going? Who or what was it? What? Because a lot of times we think, okay, that's it. I'm done. If this person is no longer with me, then there's no meaning in me staying alive or even doing even the basic, most mundane things. So, who gave you that strength to go on, carry on?
Oh, that's a great question. Thankfully, I've always had, through really dark times and even a period of pessimism that I had after he passed away. It was temporary. I've always had this thing in me that makes me keep going, or that makes me think it's going to be better. And I don't know what it was then when I wasn't, my self awareness was so low at that point in my life. I just hadn't started like going along that, personal development journey, but it did keep me going. And I was actually surprised. I had multiple people asking me like, how do you go on? I said, what am I supposed to do? Like sit in a corner and not do anything. So, I mean, I should clarify first. It's not like I just moved on very quickly. That did not happen. There are bright spots and moments going out with my friends. It looks like, oh, you're doing good. But then I might go home and, sit on the couch for like literally, I've sat on the couch for hours and hours and just couldn't get up. And I'd be like, okay, you're going to get up now. So it
Yeah,
was very like, it's not a linear situation.
correct.
But I always had this thing where it just felt like, of course things are going to get better. And even if they took a long time, it's like, of course I have to keep going. I don't know what that is, but I'm so grateful I had it because, it was a little disconcerting after he passed because I realized there was a time when I stopped being afraid. There was a high like road in Montenegro with this the cliffs, and you're like over the ocean and people speed. It's only 2 lanes. And I used to be terrified on that. And some other things I used to be afraid of during that period, nothing bothered me. And I thought,
Nice.
I thought, yeah, this is convenient, but I also found it to be disconcerting. So I'm always somebody I'm gonna keep pushing no matter what's happening, even if it doesn't
Right.
look like, even if I have no idea when it's gonna clear. Yeah.